Venezuela's opposition leader, Maria Corina Machado, has left Venezuela, and she is once again stating that Hamas and Hezbollah are in Venezuela now, and they've already infiltrated the country, and again endorses a US led invasion into Venezuela. So take a listen to this recent interview she gave just yesterday, earlier this morning in Europe time.
Hello, David Rasmus on Swedish radio. Yesterday, the US seized a ship outside the coast of Venezuela. Would you welcome a US military intervention in Venezuela?
Look, some people talk about invasion in Venezuela, the threat of an invasion in Venezuela, and I answered, Venezuela has been already invaded. We have the Russian agents, we have the Iranian agents, we have terrorist groups such as Hezbollah, Hamas, operating freely in accordance with the regime.
Hello, David Rasmus on Swedish radio.
It's not just that. She also made a lot of statements yesterday regarding the oil tankers from Venezuela that was seized by the United States. And this is also what she had to say about this. Take a listen here.
Well, it's connected with what I answered previously because, as I said, the regime is using the resources, the cash flows that come from illegal activities, including the black market of oil, not to give food for hungry children.
So the volume might be a little bit low there. She's saying that the regime is already using the resources and not actually addressing the needs of the people. And she goes on and on, saying very similar things like this. So let me go ahead and share my screen here so you can just get a general overview of what's been going on recently. The 2025 Nobel Peace Prize laureate declared Thursday that Venezuela has already been invaded by Russian and Iranian agents, terrorist groups like Hezbollah and Hamas, plus Colombian guerrillas and drug cartels controlling 60% of the territory. She made the comments during a news conference responding to the U.S. Navy December 10th seizure of the sanctioned tanker Skipper carrying 2 million barrels of Venezuelan crude oil to enforce penalties on Maduro's regime. Machado called Venezuela the criminal hub of the Americas, fueled by illicit oil, drugs, arms trafficking, and urged cutting those funding flows to weaken the repression. Now, as we all know, Hezbollah and Hamas are having a very tough time dealing with their own things in Lebanon and in Gaza. So the idea that they're now running rampant all across Venezuela, and that's the number one thing that needs to be addressed, is her way of speaking like a politician, which she is. It's her way of trying to rile up the United States to support her and install her in place so that way the U.S. has a puppet president in place and the United States gets cheap oil and we can resume operations and we don't have no longer a regime near the United States border that is allied with Russia and Iran and has access to oil that we no longer are able to pull from. That's really what's going on here. And what's so interesting, and I've previously made a whole video on this, I added it to this playlist, is that she previously went on publicly and stated that one of the first things that she's going to do when she becomes president is she's going to go ahead and move the embassy of Israel from Tel Aviv to Jerusalem. Why would she do that? What's the point of stating that? As if she's already leader, as if it's something that's going to happen tomorrow. What's the point of her even making that assertion? She has so many other problems to worry about. It's the least of her problems, yet she made a very specific point to address that. Why? Well, because she knows how to speak to the people in charge. She knows what she has to do in order to appease the people that are really making the decisions in the United States, which is the pro-Israel crowd. That's what's really going on. She knows that by being pro-Likud and supporting the right-wing psycho government of Israel, it's going to help lead to a U.S. invasion of Venezuela. That's the truth of the matter. She knows that the United States is heavily pro-Israel and is occupied by Zionists in our government that really call the shots. So she's making that assertion. She previously also spoke with Donald Trump Jr. on Rumble on his podcast, And she stated that there is so much investment that can be made for rich billionaires, for rich American billionaires, by investing in Venezuelan oil. She specifically said, and again, I played it in that video here in the playlist. She specifically said, forget about the Saudis. Forget about the Saudis. Venezuela has more oil that's going to make a lot of really good people very, very rich. So she knows exactly what she needs to do to appease America, to appease Israel, by extension, America. And it's by just kissing ass and working for the interests of a foreign government as well. We're going to install another puppet figure, which is what Israel's goals have been in Latin America. Now, what's so interesting as well is just yesterday, I also reported that Gideon Saar, Israel's foreign minister, was arrived in at the State Department yesterday from Israel, and he met with Marco Rubio. And one of the things that they said that they were speaking about on their agenda was Latin America, specifically Israel building stronger relations in Latin America. Israel just recently, I believe it was also yesterday, renewed relations with Bolivia after the new president. So, of course, Argentina, heavily pro-Israel. Argentina's President Javier Milei is converting to Judaism, or already has converted to Judaism. He's always voting along with the U.S. on anything related to Israel at the United Nations. Of course, I'm sure that Gideon also spoke. Israel's foreign minister that met with Marco Rubio yesterday also spoke about the prospects of an Israeli-friendly Venezuelan government in place, which means the CIA asset, the Mossad asset, Maria Corina Machado. That's kind of what's going on, is that Israel has very few friends aside from large Western governments. And knowing that, Israel's trying to place a stronger foothold in the global South, and especially Latin America, because it knows that it's losing support in the West. And of course, while the United States is still the global superpower, and with all the force that the United States has, the United States being a great mediator, negotiator to help Israel build those relationships, quote unquote, with Latin American countries. So that's what we're seeing now. And it's not just, of course, going to be Venezuela. It's also going to be Iran. Israel's been long wanting a regime change in Iran. Israel basically just wants a regime change in every country that doesn't support its state, and that doesn't back its state, and that doesn't back not only its state, but that doesn't back its state having everything from the river to the sea and beyond. It basically wants to enforce pro-Likud policies at every single damn government in the world. Hence why very recently we heard of Taiwan hosting an APAC conference. What's up with that? Why is South Asia now having to host APAC conferences? What's going on there? The American Israel Public Affairs Committee hosting a conference in Taiwan, with Taiwan's president calling it a prestigious organization. What is going on? The tentacles of Israel have no bounds. They will go to any damn country and exert this sort of influence in a very corrupt and covert way in order to receive global support and strengthen its ties. And it's using the United States as a useful idiot in order to achieve those goals. Because there is still really no benefit to Israel for America, given the amount of the billions and billions and billions and billions of dollars spent on Israel, and the trillions and trillions and trillions of dollars spent fighting Israel's wars. The cost-benefit analysis doesn't make sense. So, anyways, guys, that's really it for this video. If you found it interesting, would appreciate if you click the like and subscribe button below. It helps me reach more people. Otherwise, I'll see you guys in the next video.